Hey, what's up, stream keepers, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm very honored to actually have Neil from Satan Stream join us in this video, and we really very excited to actually try to understand in terms of your stream breeding knowledge and some of the key industry, the stream industry in South Africa, how we actually have some similarities and differences, and maybe you want to walk through some of the journey that
Yeah.
you have been through in terms of your stream breeding journey.
All right, thanks, guys. Pleasure to have Ben here. I've always followed his content, and I really like everything he's doing. I've learned so much.
Right.
We're very far apart. Now, in terms of my journey, wow, guys, I haven't been in the hobby too long, about 3.5 years, and it's been extremely difficult for me because there's not as much information readily available to South Africans, to novices. You try search YouTube, but you don't know brands, you don't know what soils are good, and a lot of my knowledge I've attained from other breeders in South Africa, and then I'm always liking to listen, and then I try things, and then whatever works for me best, then I adapt to that. One of the biggest things I've personally done recently, which no other breeder in South Africa is doing, is I've started separating my babies.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I take all my babies, no matter what size. If it's new, they can be 1 millimeter, they can be 3, they can be 5, and I'm moving them just so that we can help them grow faster.
Right.
Because I have noticed an increase in growth. And yeah, I mean, South Africa, we went through a big phase where everyone was trying to crossbreed and try to create their own lines, and
Right.
and we didn't understand certain things, like I've learned from you in the last few hours about how breeding works and
Right.
how genetics work. And I've been lucky enough to breed 1 or 2 of my own species in South Africa that we haven't imported. And I'm blessed to be able to be part of this hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
So just now you mentioned a little bit about removing the babies, the streamlets to another tank, and you see a exponential growth
Yeah.
in that. So I think that is something, so those of you who are watching this video, I think you have to really understand that the concept behind why we do what we do, right? Why removing the babies or removing the streamlets instead of the adults from the selective breeding tank is a better approach. And one of the reasons for doing that is because when you move the streamlets over to the grow up tank, you actually prevent accidental crossback from the streamlets, because at the size of about 0.8 cm, 1 cm, males start to fly and they start to breed with other females, and you don't want that to happen to your stock stream, because when you have a very high quality, high grade stock streams that you want to breed, and you have a streamlet that fly at 0.8, which is not so nice, and that will degrade your line in terms of the stream genetics.
Great point.
Right.
Yeah, one of the biggest reasons why I started doing it is obviously the different grades. Your babies will all be different grades, and then in South Africa we get asked,
Right.
how expensive is this shrimp? How much is that? And then they're trying to learn as well. So then by being my baby tanks, which are very open and empty, and I can see every single shrimp, I can point them out. If clients order specific types of shrimp, I can grab them out. And then obviously I can selectively breed. So let's say I want to improve my own lines or start a different line, then I can take the best quality shrimp from those babies.
Right.
And then once I realize if they're male or female, then I can work with them in that way.
So during your journey of stream breeding, right, what is one of your biggest challenges that you have faced?
Sure. My biggest challenge is, one of the biggest, is losing shrimp.
Oh, okay. That hurts.
It's hard. Everybody expects shrimp to live 2 years because the internet says they live for 2 years.
Right.
And then you buy shrimp or you get shrimp, doesn't matter where you get it from. You can get it from the internet, you can get it from your local breeders, and you put them in your tanks and they don't survive. You can do every single thing right, and they don't survive. Recently I lost quite a few Sulawesi shrimp by doing everything right, and unfortunately I had too many shrimp in the tank, and they don't move quite often here in South Africa yet. We're hoping that the hobby moves towards them because they're very pretty. And I lost nearly half my colony, so at least 500 shrimps in 1 week and it's heartbreaking.
Right. So what do you guys do to actually mitigate that?
In terms of losing shrimp,
Yeah.
I've tried to study what happened, number one, because if you don't realize the cause, then it could happen again.
Right.
So I know I had too many shrimp in one tank.
Right.
So now I try to avoid it. If I can remove shrimp or at least cull shrimp in a way. I had a stage where I had too many orange eye shrimp, so I ran a special
Right.
to help other people experience them, yes, to be able to get them cheaper. But it also, as a breeder, it helps me because now my stock is less.
Right. Right.
And then also now I've recently in the last 2-3 months, I've started creating separate tanks for babies.
Right.
So that my adult shrimp are not exposed to dangers, and my best quality stock is safe.
It's safe. Right.
Yeah.
So, Neil, you operate like a stream or aquarium shop, right?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
And apart from streams, you actually do a lot of aquascaping as well.
Yes.
Right. Maybe you want to walk through us a little bit of your aquascaping and the products that you actually use for
Yeah.
aquascaping.
All right, guys. So the whole biggest thing in aquascaping is you see these beautiful photos on the internet,
Right. It is
and
nice.
a lot of people don't understand that there is a level of skill to be able to create those tanks. Secondly, is most of those tanks use carbon dioxide injection,
Oh,
which everybody buys plants at an aquarium store, and you want your tank to look like that.
right.
But seek professional advice.
Yeah.
In terms of what's very important, the quality of soil that you introduce. We have some amazing soils entering South Africa soon in the next, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
Some top brands that are widely used around the world, very popular in Europe. So we can't wait for that.
Awesome.
In terms of plants, the best quality plants that you can get. I know buying plants can get expensive, but losing plants gets more expensive.
Oh yeah.
And generally, cheap plants you lose quite often. You'll notice, especially see online reviews about plants.
Plants, right?
Stores that have reputable reviews with plants, buy from there, no matter the cost, because you're going to save money in the long run.
Exactly.
And then,
exactly.
honestly, you can choose any lighting to your fancy.
So what would you recommend?
Chihiros lighting is great. We sell a huge variety of Chihiros. My favorite is the Pro, even over the Vivid, even though the Vivid is higher. I've run them both. In terms of a great entry level light, the A series
Right.
is stunning. And then we also do Twin Star.
Twin Star.
Twin Star is very, very cool. Twin Star, for me, the higher models are a bit too red. So they could give you the fake kind of color.
Yeah.
But they're stunning. I mean, this tank behind us is running Twin Star. You can see it looks almost red on the camera. Where the lower grade Twin Star has more natural colors because there's not as many LEDs. So
Right.
you can still see that. And in terms of scaping, I mean, guys, there's so many different people to follow. If you can find 1 or 2 channels that you can trust and see that they are good, follow that. Because to follow 10 people is
Yes.
it's
Yeah,
impossible.
It's impossible.
It's
Yeah,
impossible.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So maybe we're going to pull back in terms of our topic regarding streams.
Sure.
Right? What is one advice you would share with somebody who doesn't know stream and wants to come into the stream hobby? What would you advise?
Don't have an ego.
Okay. Maybe you want to explain a little bit more about that.
What I mean by having an ego is I also made this mistake when I started out is
Right.
you listen to somebody who you can see it works for them. You go home and you skip a step. You're like, why is that step important? It's not important for me. It's fine. Or you could hear advice from 5 people and now you don't know who to follow, so you follow yourself.
Right.
So I would say if you can find a good breeder or a good shrimp keeper, it doesn't have to be a breeder, it can be your friend. I mean, if they're keeping shrimp well,
Right.
follow what they do. You don't need to know everything to have a good, successful shrimp tank.
Right.
And that's what I help a lot of clients do is we employ a copy-paste method. I'm an open book. You want advice? I'll say, this is how I do it. This is what I do, etc., etc. And
Right.
I'll even give them a list
That's awesome.
of what I do, and generally most people have good success, even if you want to start with the most difficult shrimp
Yeah.
from day one.
That is exactly the same we have in Singapore as well, where we have a lot of this information online, and there's a lot of different methods of shrimp keepings, right?
Too many.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
methods, and there is no one best way. I think that there is a better way of doing things. However, I think like what Neil mentioned, we want to really look at the success of somebody, and then try to understand why he does what he does, and then follow and keep
That's great advice.
the stream as well, because I have seen a lot of breeders, maybe even in South Africa, where you have a guy who listens to 5 different people, and then his tank crash and he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yes.
Right. So I think that is a very, very important tip for new breeders or new hobbies that want to come into the stream breeding or stream breeding space. To find somebody, what I would say is that you find a good mentor, somebody
yeah.
who really can share with you what are some of the ways to improve, and what I've actually seen is that in this hobby there must be certain milestones, certain progression,
I agree. Yeah.
so that when you kind of like improve yourself along the way, and if you kind of like stagnant and stop improving, that is where you go downhill. And that's what I've seen a lot of these good breeders after many years. They started to think that they are up there, they do not want to have new information. So having that open book concept, open mind concept, that is really important. And thanks for sharing that.
Great.
So coming back to this stream thing, you started 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But why streams?
I just love them.
Okay. Okay.
I have no reason. The first moment I saw a shrimp, for me a fish does one thing. It just does this.
Okay.
You get other fish that do different things, but shrimp are just so interesting to watch. And the biggest thing for me is the success factor with shrimp.
Okay.
Many people will get into the fish hobby and they have their fish, and most of them see their fish die. Where in the shrimp hobby, you can get a lot of people with the easiest, almost difficult shrimp to have success in breeding,
Right.
in keeping. And then there's also so many different types of shrimp and so many things that can attract people. Somebody will like red, somebody will like blue, somebody will like orange. It's just this whole passion that the shrimpers have. We started a Facebook group about 2.5 years ago,
Okay.
and it's now currently the biggest Facebook group that I know, or the most active in South Africa at the moment. It's
What is
called
this name?
Shrimp Basics SA.
Stream basic
Yeah.
essay. Okay, so we're gonna put the link below, so stream basic essay, so you guys can actually join if you like to.
Yeah.
So Neil, maybe you want to share with us a little bit more. If, like for example, if I'm a novice, I'm
Yeah.
a beginner stream hobbyist, and I contact you,
Yeah.
I want to start a stream tank.
Yeah.
Where do I get all the things? Can I actually get it from the store?
Yeah, you can get it from our store.
Okay.
So as our name, Saturn Shrimp, very easy, saturnshrimp.co.za.
Right.
Now we have an extensive website, and I've tried to set up my website in such a way that I give knowledge
Right.
to a person who is learning,
Right.
but a person who's been in the hobby for 3-4 years, he's not going to learn that much from that page.
Right.
And then obviously we have loads of useful links. So these groups you speak about, these groups, these WhatsApp groups, these Facebook groups,
Okay.
what we've tried to encourage is the top breeders in South Africa join these groups.
Okay.
So that if I wouldn't consider myself a top breeder in South
Right.
Africa, but if somebody else who has information that I don't, they could help someone.
Right.
And we try spread the hobby from a unique standpoint where the guys stand together, have very similar morals, and the top breeders in South Africa, many of them have websites, even if they don't specifically have a store. You can go and learn, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you sell like tanks and
Yeah.
filters and
Mm. Yeah, we sell an extensive range. We sell standard tanks, Starfire tanks, filters. The basic shrimp setup would be a sponge filter.
Right.
That's a very cheap way to get into the hobby.
Right.
You can get any tank that you would like. We generally recommend smaller tanks, but nothing smaller than 40 liters,
Right.
because the smaller your water volume, the more problems can happen. And then the biggest issue we notice is that most guys who get into the hobby new don't have patience. Guys, shrimps do not do well in new tanks.
Right.
They only do well in tanks that are established.
Yep.
So you'll have to go research the aquarium cycle,
Yeah.
the nitrogen cycle. It's not too difficult to understand. Don't go too much into it. It's just a minimum ratio we take is a shrimp tank should be standing 4 to 6 weeks before we even look
Right.
to start adding shrimp.
Okay.
And that's, I don't even sell shrimp to people that start out new within
Mhm.
that period.
Right.
It's just something I protect my client from having a bad experience.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think that point is really really good because a lot of people want to go out there just to sell the streams.
Yeah.
And they don't really share the knowledge behind it, and they say that okay, once you get the tank, the soil, the filters, you can actually put the streams in 7 days.
Come back in 3, come back in 7, come back
Yeah.
and you heard it all, yeah.
So that is something that I think from a long-term perspective, it actually hurts the industry as a whole, as a
Big time.
Yeah, because the entire community would think that who's right?
That's the thing, yeah.
Is it 3 days? Is it 7 days? Is it 4 weeks? Is it 6 weeks? So these are some of the things I think there's a lot of controversies around this stream
Yeah.
industry. So maybe you want to share a little bit more about the, you know, how many stream breeders are there in South Africa, and what are some of your long-term goals that you actually want to?
All right, so there's quite a number of shrimp breeders in South Africa that have a lot of talent, that have grown the hobby in an extensive way, that even started many years before me.
Right.
I would say there's 10 to 20 top breeders in South Africa
Wow. Okay.
that know quite, they have extensive knowledge.
Right.
There's plenty hobbyists, hundreds if not thousands of hobbyists that are breeding shrimp, but they might not have as much knowledge as guys who are breeding different species.
Right.
Because we at the moment, we have at least, I think at last count, 30 different species.
Okay.
So that's what we're breeding at the moment. And we're trying to spread the knowledge of that.
Yeah.
And in terms of my future goals, sure. I by no means want to be the best. I just want to be able to help people enjoy this hobby.
Right. Okay.
That's been my goal from day one. Because I got bad advice in my first week.
Oh, okay.
I nearly quit after 1 month. And now 3 years later, I have an aquarium store and I do this full time. And it's just because I didn't give up.
Yeah.
I searched for the right knowledge. And I think as a long-term goal, I want to be able to spread the word of what is not just my belief in the right knowledge. That's why we opened up these Facebook groups. And so people have access to the top breeders in our area. And they can answer questions. People answer, and mostly the top breeders are reply, and then you get comments on those. Oh, thank you, I learned something. Thank you, this helped me a lot. And that's what I want to do. I want to grow the hobby.
You want to grow
The shrimp hobby, the planted hobby.
Yeah.
I want to try and avoid the bad advice that I got in the beginning. I'm not saying the person that gave me the advice tried to give me bad advice. They just gave me what they knew.
Yep.
So we're seeing a common trend in South Africa is more specialist stores are opening up.
Okay. Specialist stores like yours.
Like mine, for example. We're not big. We're big online.
Right.
You know, other stores, I think you spoke to Shrimp Nation before.
Right.
Very specialist. We'll be able to as well give you specific advice to your problem. Where if you walk into a general store,
Right.
they'll give you general advice according to what they know. I'm not saying it's bad knowledge.
Right.
It's just myself, I delve into a topic and I make sure I've learned through experience. I've paid my school fees.
Yeah, sure.
I've lost plenty of money, plenty of shrimp, heartache, and
Yeah.
I can help people avoid that.
Could you share with us maybe your weekly maintenance routine in terms of your tanks?
I've tried to make my maintenance as easy as possible. I always advise clients, whenever you get a fish tank, you got to think of maintenance first. Everyone thinks buy a 500 liter fish tank and then you're cool. No, I do a weekly water change on every single one of my tanks.
Right.
I'm doing it 10 to 20% on every single tank. I think I use about 500 liters of water every single week.
That's a lot.
And what I've done is I've automated a lot of these processes. So I enjoy taking the water out of my tanks manually, just so that every time I can look at a tank and I can see, is there anything wrong? Do I need to clean a sponge filter? Maybe something's blocked.
Right.
And then I've made sure I've set up a system that I can pump water back. And while the water's pumping automatically, I'm standing enjoying my hobby.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
that's the best part. That's
if
part
if,
of
if,
it.
if, if if this becomes work to you, you're not
Right.
going to do it because
Right.
you don't want to bring work home.
Exactly.
You want to enjoy it.
You want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Neil. So before we close up
Yeah.
for this, is there any last words or any last knowledge or information that you really want to share with stream hobbies that's in in South Africa?
Yeah, guys, just have patience. It's a key in this hobby,
Mm.
and don't be afraid to listen, and never be afraid to ask
Right.
someone for advice. Struggling is not fun.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Losing livestock is not fun. But yeah, it's all about patience. I once had a client that he was just begging me for his crystals to breed.
Okay.
And I said, just be patient, stick to what you're doing. And he
Mhm.
stuck to it for 12 months
Okay.
without a shrimp breeding.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden,
Boom.
they just exploded.
Wow.
And he didn't change a thing.
That's
Hmm.
good. That's
Yeah.
good. Alright guys, so thanks for watching this video. I will put your shop links and
Yeah.
everything below in the description and the comment section below. And if you are new to this channel, please remember to subscribe and give a thumbs up. And until next time, peace out.